PTA, be a part of the PTA. You know, we're planning on having committees, fundraisers, and everything under the sun. So with that being said, Rachel, I'm gonna turn it over to Ms. Curry, and if you can go ahead while Ms. Curry's doing her presentation, look at the people in the audience to see who may have come on. Okay, appreciate it. I'm gonna turn it over to Ms. Curry. Ms. Curry, you have the floor to go ahead and talk to about virtual learning.
All righty. So give me 1 second, apparently.
Yes, ma'am.
Here. Change my screen really quickly. We'll go from there. All right, well, good evening for the first time to many, and for some of you, good evening again. And thank you guys for joining us today. I wanted to take some time out of the PTA meeting to go over a few updates for you as it relates to the reopening of the school limited hybrid learning. So I'm going to go over a few points. Now, I will preface this, I don't have the answers to everything. I'm still working things out in my head and with my staff and with my colleagues. So if I don't know the answer, I will simply say I don't know the answer, but I guarantee I will have everything ready when those kids walk through the door October 5th, okay? All righty, so hybrid learning option. At this time, the board met September 16th to approve the option for students to return to school for limited in-person learning, but they also approved the options for teachers to work within the building as well. So as of now, parents will have options to send students to school for limited in-person learning or continue virtual learning. Okay, that's the key, or, either or. A registration link has been sent by the school district for parents in of students in grade levels pre-K through 2s and parents that are students of PACE students to confirm choice. This is due no later than 11:59 p.m. Friday. So remember, you probably want to make up your mind before then. This is a key point here. The school district will use this information to select the cohorts. Schools will not be responsible for this. So they will use your data that you've selected and they will create the cohorts. Schools will not have any input in that. How will in-person look? Well, as of now, the dates are October 5th and tentatively October 26th. October 5th, our least independent learners, grades pre-K through 2 and PACE students will be arriving in our schools. Tentatively October 26th, grade levels 3 through 5. At some point between October 5th and October 26th, parents of grade levels 3 through 5 should receive a link just like the parents of pre-K through 2 and PACE parents. There will be 2 cohorts, A and B. A will attend Monday and Tuesday and remain virtual Wednesday through Friday. B will attend Thursday and Friday and remain virtual Monday through Wednesday. In-person option is based on staff options. I want to make sure I'm clear on that. In-person option is based on staff options. Students may not have the same teacher for in-person that they had during virtual learning. In fact, based on the number of staff that has selected to work in the building, and we're still getting those numbers in as we speak, there may be a wait list. So this indicates that every child, every parent that selected for in-person learning will not necessarily be able to return to school because we may not have enough staff to support that. So I want to point that out to you guys. How will in-person look? Well, CDC guidelines will be followed at all times. Age-appropriate facial coverings, such as face shields, masks, or some sort of cloth covering, must be worn with the exception of eating and drinking. We will have supplies of masks, however, they are limited, so we're asking that all parents provide their own facial coverings for their students. Social distancing, classrooms will be set up to support. There will be limited transitions. Breakfast and lunch will be brought to the classroom and there will be a staggered recess time. Also, I want to make note that temperature checks will happen every morning prior to students getting out of the car, because if they have a fever, They will not be admitted into the building. Bus transportation will not be provided for any student other than students that pay students. So I want to make sure we're clear on that. This is a picture of how a first grade classroom at Hurd Elementary will look. As you can see, we are following the CDC guidelines of social distancing. There is approximately 6 feet in between each desk, which will allow for about 12 to 13 students within the classroom. If you can, please mute so that everyone can hear clearly. Thank you.
The shoulders don't really fit. Oh, they're too big.
Phase 2, how will in-person look? Schedules. Pre-K through 2, we will follow the same schedule as the virtual learning schedule. So that means it will simply be 8:30 to 2 p.m. Students will arrive, so that's our arrival time, 8:30 a.m. Instruction will take place from 9 a.m. until 1:50 p.m. and dismissal will begin at 2 p.m. There will be no after-school care at any schools in our school district. As of now, fine arts will have to remain virtual to accommodate the students that select to remain virtual. So fine arts will remain virtual, and this will impact our school supplies, which means that students will need to bring Chromebooks, laptops, or tablets with earphones or earbuds to school daily. We do realize that some of the students did not check out devices from the school, and we will accommodate personal devices such as your personal Chromebooks or personal iPad. Those are welcome, but nevertheless, we need some sort of technology daily for our students. Pencil, paper, and coloring utensils, all supplies must be transported daily to and from school. Uniforms are not required because, as you remember, the board in July voted to relax the uniform policy. So students do not necessarily have to wear uniforms. They can wear uniforms if they would like, but there will be no policy in place to prohibit them from wearing their regular clothing. Of course, student code of conduct rules will apply when it comes to their attire. What happens if my child gets sick or is exposed? Students that get sick throughout the day, and these are students that display COVID-19 symptoms. Okay.
Where my phone at?
Students that get sick throughout the day will be escorted to the Gator Lounge, our school's isolation room. I chose Gator Lounge because it didn't seem as punitive, and it made it sound something happy and a part of the school versus the school isolation room. Parents will be called immediately to pick up students. Students that display symptoms of COVID-19 will be required to be quarantined for 14 days. Students that have been exposed to COVID-19 or live with someone that tested positive will be required to self-quarantine for 14 days. So that means if a student within your child's classroom has tested positive, that's the key, has tested positive for COVID-19, then it's a possibility that the whole class will have to be quarantined for 14 days. How will the school reduce the possibility of spread? Custodians will spray down or sanitize work and high-touch areas frequently. Work areas would be desks. High-touch areas would be, an example would be doorknobs and other frequently touched areas. We will continue deep cleaning Wednesdays in which staff will work remotely from home, and students will work or engage in independent learning on this day. So deep cleaning Wednesday, usually the staff will spray, the custodians will spray our school with an industrial spray that was provided to them from our school district. Staff will clean work areas to include, but not limited to, computer desks and writing utensils frequently. And we will practice social distancing and hand washing techniques. What happens if I choose to remain virtual? And as I mentioned to you guys, in-person learning schedules will follow the virtual learning schedule so that we can remain consistent. The schedules will continue virtually 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. for pre-K through 2 and 8:30 a.m. until 3:05 for 3 through 5. And this will apply if on October 26th, students return to school. Rosters may change based on in-person student and teacher selections. For example, if there is a teacher that has selected to work in person, those students whose parents selected for them to remain virtual will be absorbed in the other virtual classes, and that teacher will have a new roster for in-person. So I want to make sure that that's clear, that in-person will impact rosters for virtual learning as well. Notification for changes to roster will be sent next week. I want to reiterate that the district is giving you guys until 11:59 p.m. Friday to make your selections. At that point, afterwards, they will then give us a list of the cohorts. What if I change my mind? The change between virtual and in-person learning models will be considered at the end of the 9-week period, and will be managed on a case-by-case basis. Things not yet finalized, okay? The teacher rosters, that means the teachers just submitted their selections to the school district today. I should be provided with the finalized roster at some point, hopefully tomorrow. Nevertheless, if you're waiting to determine and see if your teachers are going to select in person or remain virtual, I suggest that you reach out to them. They have been advised to tell you their selections. That way you will at least know if your virtual teacher will remain virtual or select to work in person. I have not finalized special education logistics. Again, I will need to know the students that are in the cohorts in order for me to do that. The same will apply for GEP logistics. And I will also need to know how many students I will have in my cohorts in order for me to create the recess schedules and the logistics of recess. So I just want to point out there's some things that I don't have answers to yet. Also, I don't have answers as of yet regarding the 3 independent learning days and what students will be doing on those 3 independent learning days, because I have to base it around the amount of teachers that will be working. So that's another thing. So I just want to point that out to you guys. I do have a link in the chat. I can also repost this link as well in the chat. If you have additional questions after the meeting, you may use this link in order to ask those questions, and we'll try our best to respond to you as quick as possible. With that being said, that is the end of my presentation. Mr. Jones, do we have time for any questions? If not, then that will be totally fine.
Yes, ma'am. We're going to open up the floor to any questions. Did any parents have any questions at this time? Did any parents have any questions at this time? I guess the.
Hi, this is Jennifer Lindsay. Hello.
Hi, Ms. Lindsay.
Hi. I just had a question about the email, the putting our our selection. It didn't seem like it. So we're gonna choose to stay 100% virtual for right now, and it didn't seem like. I mean, I clicked that box, and then it didn't seem like it asked for any information like who my child was. Is it just connected to my email address? Is that how it works?
Yes, so it's the email address that you provided in PowerSchool. So that's associated with your child.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Great question. No worries.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Did any other parent have a question?
Yes. Hi,
Hi.
Ms. Curry. This is
Hi,
Erin
Ms. Curry.
Wren,
How you doing,
Olivia's mom.
Erin?
Hi, Mr. Jones.
All right, you have the floor.
On the schedule, we are 100% choosing back to school as soon as possible. So what the time schedule you posted for virtual learning, will it be the same school schedule as last year, or does that also depend on teacher ratio and more logistics that you have to work out for school start and end time?
If I'm understanding correctly, Ms. Wren, the school schedules will remain in sync with the virtual schedule. We're not going to go back to our 7:45 to 3:45 schedule. I'm sorry, excuse me. Our 8, so it's a 3rd through 5th, we'll have an 8 to 3, similar to what we did last year as far as our school schedules. But in order to stagger times and to model the virtual learning schedule, it will mirror, our in-person will mirror our virtual learning. So kids in K through 2 will, they start their day at 9 o'clock, they would end it at 2. And kids 3 through 5 start at 8:30 and end at 3.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. Do we have any additional questions coming from the floor? All right. If none, we appreciate you, Ms. Curry, for giving us an update what's going on in the school system. Like I said in the first call, and